Welcome to the Marvel Cinematic University podcast. I'm your host, Anthony Canton III, and we're continuing our Road to Doomsday mini-series, which has turned into a actual series, I should say, at this point, with the way that we're going to go with this thing, with the movie coming out December of next year. I feel like we're going to do about 20 plus of these things. But nonetheless, if you've checked out any of the previous installments, or if you're interested, just go on that YouTube channel, check it out. I feel like this is number 8 of these, and it'll continue going on. And of course, with any discussions of shows we do, patreon.com/MCUniversityPod. You can get our bonus content, such as the horror movie that has taken the nation, Weapons. There was a conversation that took place on that Patreon with Jake Christie and our pal Michael Springthorpe. They dove deep, about 2 hours worth of Weapons content. So if you're interested in that, that is $3, along with every single episode that we've ever done on Patreon, which is a bunch at this point, plus subscriber mailbags. We are working on the film franchise situation that me and Jake are going to choose the next one, or we're going to have our Discord members choose it for us, and we'll get into that soon enough. And yes, if you're watching on YouTube, like, comment, and subscribe. And we are here to talk Spider-Man. Let me just say first, because I got the whole Spider-Man thing on, so we're talking about that. That's what we're doing tonight. And with all that finally out of the way, let me introduce the super producer, Jake Christie. Jake, how are you?
I'm doing well, ready to sling some webs.
There you go. I love it. I love it. And we have our pal, our friend, our compadre, Dalbin Osorio, here to talk some webs. Dalbin, how you doing, sir?
Jake, I didn't think that's what you were going to say. And the minute it just came out of your mouth, I said, Jake surprises me, even still 5 years in after my first episode joining you guys. Super pumped to be back with you, too. Like Kevin Feige in an interview where he says the plan all along was to replace Kang, also spin some web. That's what I'm here to do.
Yes. And so with that, Spider-Man Brand New Day. I think one of the things that occurred to me as we finally got, not only in the past couple of months, we got the title, we knew that Destin Daniel Cretton was directing it, and leading up to it, we had a Spider-Man Focus episode earlier in the year, and we talked about kind of what Tom Holland's philosophical thoughts were on doing another trilogy, and how he seemed, I wouldn't say concerned, but he seemed very intentional about his desire to make sure that these movies stay true to the character and they don't become a clusterfuck with the whole Sony situation and putting Venom in there and all of those other things. Fortunately for us, it seems like Tom and it seems like Marvel kind of got their wishes ahead of Sony. And what it seems like we're going to get here is not only a street level version of the movie, but it does seem like a very dedicated, and as Destin pointed out earlier, and I think in a con that he did a couple of months ago, he said we're gonna make this a real, intense, emotional story, and it should be if we think about it, because at the end of No Way Home, our pal Peter Parker was left with nothing. He all he has is an apartment, and that's it. Nobody knows who he is. The love of his life.
I mean, in New York, though, that's a lot, though.
Listen.
And the thing is, and I actually heard that Andrew Cuomo was criticizing him because it's rent stabilized. But
showing how out of touch he really is.
Yes, very well played, Jake. And with all of that being said, as we are getting closer to seeing what this movie is, we got a bunch of announcements. We have a bunch of not only set photos, but set footage all over the place in Glasgow. And it's been kind of crazy to see. I think, Dalbin, I want to ask you, because a lot of the topic, our pal Tej the other day told me that he said that this is too much. Why are we seeing all these set photos? This is a little too much. We're going to get the whole damn movie. Yeah. What do you think about that part first before we dive in any further?
I think that's a great question, and far be it from me to disagree with the milkmonger himself that is Tej, but I will just say that I think that Marvel and maybe it's because I'm listening to the history of the MCU pod right now on Spotify, right? And I've been listening back to some of your old episodes, right?
Hmm.
Marvel for a long time tried to really keep things severely under wraps. And ever since Thunderbolts, they've kind of said, fuck that shit. And I think we are better for it. I
Yes,
really do. I think
and
we
they
are
are
better
too.
for it. And they are too. I think that, and particularly Spider-Man, which this one, let me tell you, everything that we've seen so far has just heightened my excitement for it. I think it has really like Winter Soldier potential for the Spider-Man franchise in terms of being such a game changer. And Marvel, I think, realizes that they've lost a lot of goodwill post Endgame,
Yeah.
through a lot of very stupid decisions that they made, and some of it is other stuff, but a lot of it is them. And so why not give people reasons to be excited for your movies beyond just it's Marvel, they're going to show up,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so I couldn't be happier for it. And I think if there's any hero in their collection that deserves this kind of treatment is Spider-Man,
Yeah.
because of where he was left at the end of it. We really don't know what the status quo is going to be now that
Yep.
he's not, Howard Stark the third, right? Like we don't know what it's going to be. And
Iron
so
Thor
I'm
Jr.
excited. So Tej, you're usually spot on. When
Mm-hmm.
it comes to the Brie Larsons and the Vanessa Kirby division of the world, you're usually spot on. But here I'm going to tell you, I don't think you're right, my friend. I don't think you're right at all.
Oh,
And
man.
the thing
So
is, I saw him say that, and I was gonna wait until to rebut this on the pod because he doesn't listen to the pod, so he can't rebut it back. But my thing is like, what can you tell me about the plot of the movie? Like, what is
Right.
he saying? Like, Spider-Man's outside and swings webs. Like, I don't understand. What are we seeing? And I
Yeah.
think that like, because there's a lot of similar discussions about Superman, because Superman filmed in public, and
yeah,
guess what? We actually learned about the plot of that movie. Jack shit. Like, we
yeah,
didn't learn anything. And I think so much about how with No Way Home, No Way Home had so much secrecy. Guess what? We all fucking knew that Toby and Andrew were coming back. And so
yeah,
what they did is they had, and there's that famous scene people show always of Flash Thompson uh look like in front of a green screen, like that really
yeah.
awful shot.
Yeah.
They did that because they had to film everything green screen, nothing outside. It's like, but everyone still knew that the people still knew the third act twist anyway, so it wasn't worth it at all. You know what I mean? So it's like the trade just feels completely incongruous, especially given the fact that like most of the stuff they're shooting outside is just like bits of action scenes, and so it's like, oh, there's gonna be a fight in this movie. Spider-Man's gonna swing
Right.
through some webs into an alley. Color me shocked. I also feel like similar to Superman, what those set photos of Superman did is they got people hyped about the movie a year in
Yeah.
advance.
Yeah.
And I think that what Marvel, I think, sometimes forget needs to like relearn, given the fact that they were kind of coasting on them being the monoculture for so long, is like if you want a movie to make $1 billion, it needs to be a movie that people know is coming for a year. Like
Yeah.
people like so many times, like then Thunderbolts came out, for example. It was a month or two of press at most. People didn't know it was coming. But it's like this. It's like people know that there is a new Spider-Man movie coming out next year. That everyone's aware of that. It's free marketing for the movie. And I think but the thing I'm most exciting about is not just that they're not being secretive. It's like I guarantee you the shots of Spider-Man in this movie outside will look better than if they didn't do it outside because
Yeah.
it just looks better. And so, the only complaint I have is that they're doing it in Glasgow and not New York, but obviously, it'll be so expensive to do it in New York. But like I just think that I don't know. For me, I think that the downside, unless you're gonna like do your full climax and it's obvious from just like the naked eye what's going on in
Yeah.
public. I see that the downside of having like minor spoilers, like this people worry about like spoiling what the suit looks like or whatever. Like I think that is just like a non-issue because
It's
the
not.
fact of
Yeah.
the matter is the big thing is if you are looking at set photos, you are in the demographic of people who is going to see the movie.
Yeah.
I don't think that there's a person alive
Yeah.
who, like, maybe a trailer will spoil something so someone won't see a movie, but there's not a person alive who is in the ecosystem to see set photos who will see
Right.
something in the set photos. They'll be like, I already know what the movie's about. I'm not going to see it. Like, that's just not a person that exists.
Yeah.
Like, Teach is
I
going to
think
see the Spider-Man movie. Like, it's a
Yeah.
non-issue in my opinion.
I think also, Jake, you hit it the nail. Like, so here's what we know, that Spider-Man swings around like an armored truck. That's what we know. Like, realistically, that's probably 4 minutes in the movie, maybe 6 minutes in the movie. Like, we don't know what Banner's doing. We don't know anything about Sadie's character. We we don't know. Like, We don't know any of that, right? We don't know the role that Frank Castle, and then we're going to talk a little bit about like just theories and all that stuff. And I mean, I have some
Yeah.
theories, but like ultimately, I haven't even seen John Bernthal. Who's to say he's even in this movie anymore? Like John Malkovich in the Fantastic Four, right? And so I think it's just really cool to see Marvel just saying, yo, you know what? Like traditional hype, the way you build traditional hype for movies, we can do that too. Because to Jake's point, the base is already built in. The folks that are showing up night one, that's us. We're gonna be there, right? But like that, like seeing a cool ass costume with like modern web shooters and him not being connected to Stark, that's the stuff that's gonna draw in the regular folks, which is who I think Marvel feels like they've been losing, is the regular folks.
This isn't the sports injury
Right.
report. This isn't week 10 of the NFL season where Bill Belichick is hiding who's hurt and Tom Brady has it's just they put shoulder because they just have to put something on an injury report just so it just fools the public or whatnot, or not giving out accurate information and stuff like that. I just think at this point, to each of your points, and very well made by the way, that we've gone too long without any of this having standard hype, like
Yeah.
legitimate hype. Kevin Feige has talked about this, we don't have the same level of enthusiasm towards these movies because of new characters or whatever reasons that he want to use, disagree with them, agree with them, if you will.
Yeah.
But ultimately, something like this is your main player of the whole thing. This is the one that people cared about the most 5 years ago.
Mhm.
It's really the only character since
Yep.
that time that people actually really care about.
And there are two things too. I think number one, you see the thing that's been most striking to me about these set photos is the excitement that kids have watching. Like
Yeah.
it reminds you, like I think that this is like an old screenwriting rule where like how an audience feels about a character is how like other people see them. Like that if you want your audience to like a character, have other people like them, right? Having children look on at awe with Spider-Man makes you, even as an adult, be like, oh, this is Spider-Man. And also it's like, we've all seen Train Spotting. The Scottish people in Glasgow need something to be happy about, like it's because they don't even get because Springthorpe was just in Edinburgh, right? Because the comedy festival, they don't even have that in Glasgow. You know what I mean? Like obviously, in ideal worlds, he'd go up to Inverness because those people are really depressed, but like they need something.
Well,
Yes.
and AC, to your point, just to put a bow on that, because
Sure.
I think you hit on something that just it jumped out at me, right? And again, maybe it's because I'm listening to a bunch of the old stuff that we did, but also like the history of the MCU pod. But it was supposed to be Brie Larson, Chadwick Boseman, and Tom Holland. They were supposed to be the three that carried it
Right.
forward, right? And they lose Chadwick, and the toxic dudes kill the Marvels, which again, probably the most marvelly of movies in this phase, right? With like Easter eggs and like world building and all that
Actually
stuff.
connected to the multiverse saga.
Actually connected to the multiverse saga,
It's
right?
so crazy how many boxes that movie checks that the Dubros say they want.
and yeah, right, like everything you could want: hot women, comedy, you know what I'm saying, and connection to the X-Men. Like that's what you said you wanted, and suddenly that's not enough. But so Chadwick passes tragically, Brie Larson gets taken, raked over coals. Tom Holland is the last man standing. Like it's Spider-Man is the last man standing. And so this is Marvel needs this, and to Jake's point, Scotland needs this.
This is your. And also I think the thing that I do like about it is a lead into Doomsday, but it doesn't feel like it is. It doesn't feel like that's the intention with the story. I think it's important to reestablish this version of the character now after and it's so funny. There's such revisionist history with this first trilogy that is so hilarious to read because I think that the initial trilogy is great. Everything about the character, everything about the choices the character ends up making, everything that we see Peter Parker go through in those three movies matters a lot, and that's why people love them so much. And yet, people will go back to something like Far From Home and just say it's shitty, which is like it's incredible.
That I don't understand. I don't understand. I was there. Everyone liked it when it came out.
Everybody loved it. It's so weird.
It.
I remember the end of that when you see Jameson there. and then
Yeah.
you get the whole identity reveal. Like, yo, like that was awesome. I don't
I'm
understand
with
it.
you. I also remember when he grabbed the drones and beat the snot out of Mysterio, and people were like, "Yo, that's like when Cap with that." Like there was genuine hype there for that, right? Like,
Genuinely, one of, and
yeah,
I say, Dalvin, you're 100% correct. That when Mysterio kicks his ass in
Mhm.
that
in
in
the
that
in the
before
yes,
they fight at the end, the one leading into the third
yep,
act, yo, that's one of the best action
yeah,
scenes that I've seen, and just like the ingenuity of it,
yes,
actually using Mysterio in a way that makes sense and actually works against Spider-Man, and something for him to figure out. And then he does with the spider sense at the end. It to me that was awesome, and all of a sudden people just forgot about it. It's incredible.
It was just so weird. I woke up one day and it's like we all agree that this movie's shit. And I'm like, we do?
That's like, what? What happened? I don't understand. You have a movie like Homecoming with you get that turn in the car from Adrian
yes,
Dooms in the conversation with Peter, and it's like,
yeah.
yo, we forgot what kind of movie we
I,
made.
I, for me, it's just like I'm like they went 3 for 3. I don't know what you're talking about. Like they're not perfect movies, but I liked all of them a lot.
Yeah, and I think the main thing that gets so forgotten about it is how we saw Holland grow in that
Yeah,
role to
yeah,
the point where even with the inclusion of Maguire and Garfield, it was his movie at the end of the
it
day. Like
was, it
he
was.
powered through. We saw those emotions. We felt those emotions. I'm never gonna forget the first time I seen him in that damn coffee shop with
Mm,
MJ at the
right
end.
here,
Like, yo,
right
like that
here.
he captured Spider-Man. That's
Yeah,
that's the Peter Parker curse. And that's
yeah,
where, like, after that fact, you wondered for so long how they were going to change it up. And was John Watts going to stay on? Clearly, this movie, for a lot of reasons, got him out of that whole business. And so it just makes me think, like, imagine if he wasn't stressed out about that movie and ended up
right.
doing Fantastic Four. Who knows? We might have not gotten the Fantastic Four that we got with Matt Shackman. So, like, it's a interesting what if uh possibility as far as that was concerned. But just generally speaking,
Yeah,
coming into this new trilogy, now you feel like there's new energy. And the
yeah,
main thing is Tom feels excited about playing the
yeah.
character again, and I think that's what you want. We still want him to have that energy and feel great about it. So that's all good and done. So now let's get into the stuff that we actually know about the movie, because the fact that we know that John Bernthal's in it as the Punisher, we know Mark Ruffalo's in it as the Hulk, that by itself is
Yeah.
very, very intriguing. Dalby, and I'll ask you first. What do you think about those two kind of explosive elements being added to this film?
Yeah, and before I do that, I just want to say it's ironic. Sam Raimi didn't get to make Spider-Man 4. John Watts didn't get to make Spider-Man 4. There is a curse after the third movie. That is the Spidey curse, man. So let me say, AC man,
Yes.
I think Bernthal very much in the vein of Downey, very much like in terms of perfect casting. I think he is the Punisher. He is Frank Castle, right? Like I often cite his monologue with Charlie Cox in Daredevil season 2. You hit them and they stay. You hit them and they get back up. I hit them and they stay down.
Yes.
As some of the best acting that's gone on in
Hmm.
the MCU. So when they added him, I was like, oh, I was like, okay. I was like, maybe we are going hyper violent, right? Like maybe we are, and especially because I think DDC did such a good job in Shang-Chi of just being really like capturing the martial arts of the culture, right? While still weaving it into this idea of the 10 rings. So I was really excited to see, oh man, we're about to get some real
Yeah, the
good
visuals. Yeah.
right? Some real good hand-to-hand combat. Then you add Banner into it. And if Tom Holland and Spider-Man's arc is some of the best work that Marvel has done, I think Bruce Banner and Mark Ruffalo some of the worst stuff that Marvel has
Yep.
done.
Yes. By far.
Right? Like by far. So now you have Bernthal's Punisher, who again, they're gonna bring it. You have Holland, who's gotten some really great stuff to do with Spidey, and then you have Banner, who like you got to show me something. You got to show me something
Yep.
with Banner to make me care about that.
Mm-hmm.
I think the way you make me care about that is having Punisher put him 6 feet in the ground. I think that's how you make me care about him. But I think that there's going to be some serious acting going on, man. There's going to
Yes.
be some serious acting, some serious performances, some practical effects. Which Tom Holland, to your point, AC, about how excited he is, he's openly talked about how the pandemic made them shoot in front of green screens and on
Right.
sound
Well,
stages,
people
right?
forget that part
And
too.
people forget that. And again, even with that, the movies were great. Don't let anybody lie to you or gaslight you into that they weren't great. They were great.
Exactly.
But I think the three of them, they're going to bring it. It's going to be, that at the very least, there's going to be some real emotion. You want to talk about the monster and Banner, right? The necessary evil of Punisher, and then the do good of Spider-Man. Because to your point about No Way Home, at the end, Holland could have put Norman Osborn into the ground, and he didn't.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And that's the secret power of Spider-Man, that he does not break. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Like that's usually what it is. Normally he doesn't break unless there's a symbiote introduced or whatever. But I'm really excited for those three, because I think there's going to be some really good acting, some really good performances, and DDC is going to get that out of them. I think at the very least, he's going to get that emotion, that humanity out of it. So I'm excited for those three to share the screen together. I think it's going to be good.
Mm-hmm.
I have a point I'll make on that in a bit, but Jake, off of Dalbin's points on Bernthal and Ruffalo.
I think the big question that I think this movie, if they're going to bring in Ruffalo specifically, they need to make the Hulk dangerous again.
Yes.
The Hulk has not been dangerous. I just thought about it. He's not been dangerous. It will be 11 years when this movie comes out. The last time he was an actual threat in any real way was
Age of
Age of
Ultron.
Ultron.
Yes.
Like that, and that's like, malpractice. Like it is. I just think that the whole Professor Hulk arc was a complete misfire.
Yeah, it failed. Yeah, it definitely failed.
Because the thing ultimately is that, like, you can't do that arc and it works. Like, I think you could do that arc and then it goes wrong and he ends up losing control again. Like, he thinks he's in control. But, like, you can't have that arc be, he actually did it. It's like, no.
Yeah.
Like, the whole thing is that he can't do it. Like, that.
Yeah.
Like, such as the Hulk is a metaphor, like, Professor Hulk ruins the metaphor, because the whole point is that there is no, you're never done working on yourself. You always are capable of losing control. Like, that's part of being a human. We all have that in us. Like, you never can go to enough therapy where you can never get angry again. Like, it's impossible.
Right.
And so I think that, like, that in conjunction with Bernthal, I think is what will make or break their appearances. Because obviously you don't want a Spider-Man movie to not be about Spider-Man. But I think what both those characters have the ability to do, if Hulk is dangerous again, is confront Spider-Man, Peter Parker, with the realities of violence and of making hard decisions. Because ultimately, like, he wants to think that he can make everything a win-win for everyone. And, like, the Hulk presents a challenge of, what you're responsible for, if you, how what you're in control of. And the Punisher brings up the idea of, like, is it ever moral to kill people? And obviously that's, like, the whole deal with him and Daredevil. But I think that, like, Peter Parker is even more idealistic about it. Whereas, like, Daredevil has a very, like, dogmatic view towards it. Peter Parker is, like, very naive in, I think, a lot of ways about it. And so I think confronting him with that, I think, will be very interesting. Especially, as he's trying to navigate the new world for him. Because, like, I think that there have been a lot of times where franchises or characters get reset, but, like, I can think of a few things more destabilizing than, like, literally everyone who ever knew you doesn't know you anymore. Like, you literally have to start over completely. And so I think that he's going to be in a place where he's going to need friends. And he might be in a situation where he's going to need to make friends with Frank Castle, even though he'd be someone that he normally wouldn't.
Yeah.
Yes. And I think trust, the trust aspect, I think, is such it's a thing I've been thinking about a lot, because after this initial trilogy ended, you realize, like, everybody who he's ever trusted, everybody who's ever watched his back, no longer exists in that aspect. So now he's taking the lessons that he learned from that, and what does that make him? That makes him probably a little bit more paranoid about anybody who he talks to, including the other heroes. And anybody who he deals with on a personal level, because realizing what his identity could do to them. And that is the essence of the Spider-Man comic book. And
Yeah.
that is the essence of what he has to deal with emotionally on a regular day basis. It's so funny thinking about how the the talk around the first trilogy was, well, he was hooked up with the Avengers early and he was just hanging out there, and Iron Man, Iron Boy Jr., all that other stuff.
Yeah.
When in reality, all that stuff, you have that stuff to kind of teach you some of these
Yeah.
certain lessons that you learn. And guess what? He ends up getting to that version of the character
Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah.
So now you put him in a position where you get to see the actual factual Peter Parker, aka Spider-Man, how that works out in this particular world. And putting him in this situation where I'm sure like we'll get a little bit of a catch up after the few years have passed since the death of Aunt May. That's the other part of this too.
Yeah.
That we forget. Like all of these things happened, estranged from everybody, death of the only person that was his caretaker for a very long time. Like all of this stuff is such an interesting place to put this character. And then he's still having the weight of fighting crime in New York. And
Yeah.
there's going to be a lot of different people who start to show up. One of them being Michael Mando's Scorpion from the first movie, Spider-Man: Homecoming. It's nice to see him come back in this. It's going to be interesting to see how the visual of however they do the costume intrigues
Yeah.
me. Also, there is and this is kind of like theory corner for you, Dalvin. There is the idea, and even Michael posted it on his Instagram. Kind of the version, the Matt Gargan
It's
symbiote
happening.
version. It seems like there's a chance that could be on the table here. Give
Yeah.
me your thoughts on that.
Ooh, so real quick, I will say also because AC, you nailed all the trauma that Spider-Man went through. Also,
Mhm.
which explains why he would try to, save Banner, right? Like
Yeah.
Savage, like it was like because he's looking for, like, imagine you go through something with somebody and they don't remember any of it, right? Like he is essentially Channing Tatum in that movie with Rachel McAdams, the Vow. Like he's essentially that, right? Like you go through all this stuff and this person does not remember you, but you're still trying to save them. That's sad as hell. That's sad as hell. So I mean, shout out to Michael Mando. I think he becomes Venom. I think that there's still a piece of goo still left back from the ill-fated crossover that was Tom
Yes.
Hardy in a Mexican bar.
They tried so hard. They tried
tried
so
tried
hard.
so hard, tried so hard, and Kevin Feige said, not happening, not
Absolutely not.
happening.
Not on my watch.
But I think where Captain America Brave New one of the ways that Captain America Brave New World failed, bringing back the leader after 15 years, right? Some of the 16 years, and nobody really cared about that. Bringing back
Also, they made
Scorpion,
him look terrible
they
too.
made him
On
look
top of that,
terrible, right?
with
They
his
made him
hat.
look terrible, and nobody cared, right? Like
Yeah.
everybody was like, "Oh, okay, he's been poisoning Harrison Ford, beloved Indiana Jones. That's terrible. I don't want any parts of that." But I think folks are gonna understand if on en route to us getting the MCU's Venom and Scorpion, that Peter breaks bad. I think people are gonna understand that. People are gonna say, I get it. Like you've lost your aunt, you've lost your mentor, right? You've lost the other person that was supposed to take care of you the last time in Doctor Strange, and that they don't remember you either. You don't got your lady, right? And my theory for him and why he eventually breaks bad ties into who I think Sadie's playing, which we'll get to later. But
Mhm.
the Mac Gargan of it all becoming the MCU's Venom, I think that is clear as day where you got to go. I think that it sets up the next trilogy really well, because if you go down that road, right, then that gives you the foil for Spider-Man in 5 and 6, right?
Yeah.
That gives you the foil at post Secret Wars for this Peter Parker, right? Who's again still alone, still wrestling with what it means to save New York, be a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. And he's got to worry about Frank putting his homie down, who isn't his homie anymore, and this guy who's he's been Matt Gargan in this universe has been after Spider-Man for now a decade, right? Like
Pretty much.
he's not taking no for an answer,
Yeah,
to
it's
kick
totally
his ass.
personal at
It's
this
very
point.
personal
Yeah.
for him, and I think that brings a unique dynamic because when you look at No Way Home, it wasn't personal for our Peter. It was personal for the Peters, but not for our Peter, right? In the sense of like Norman wasn't there to harm our Peter. He was there to, whatever. Mysterio was out to pay the debt that he owed to Stark. So it wasn't really about our Peter. this is a chance for it to really be about our Peter. And Mac gives him that. He gives him that foil where it's really about Peter. So I'm
Yeah.
excited. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and before I get to you, Jake,
No,
I
for
just
sure.
want
Yeah.
to say, well, I want to say off of I want to off of Dalvin's point, like so, like with the symbiote situation, what you mentioned about like the future of it kind of lining up, it does line up, and it also, I think this is the type of movie with you have a Bernthal kind of in Peter's ear, giving him the actual
Yes.
like real negativity of what this is about. This is the type of thing, and the dealings with the Hulk too. Jake mentioned violence and all of that. So like this, dealing with all of these things, this is how somebody embraces the symbiote, and this is how somebody is in the black suit in Secret Wars.
Yeah.
As I feel like they will set that up, and that arc will continue as the trilogy continues, and I like that aspect. But Jake, in terms of villains, like getting to a street level place
Yeah.
is has been something often talked about. So I want to hear your thoughts on like how that would work and how you think that would go.
I do just want to quickly, and this relates to what you said, not rebut, but offer a
Sure.
query about what Dalbin said, because I think what you said is interesting. It will be an interesting movie and series of movies. I just am skeptical that they
Mhm.
would put out a movie where Michael Mando was the primary villain. And I don't think, and I'm
Yeah.
not saying that, no disrespect to him at all, but I mean, I just feel like, I don't know. If they were to do that, I would love that. I would love if they'd be like, nope, this
Yeah.
guy's a great actor. He's going to be a villain. I mean, that's what obviously they did with Guardians 3, and it really worked out.
Yeah.
But I feel like, I'll say this, if they're going to do Venom, I think making it a pre-established character is a great idea because there just was a trilogy of Venom movies. You wanted to get as far away from Eddie Brock as
Yeah.
humanly possible, right?
Yes.
Like, there
Yes.
already is a cultural association with Venom. And so if they're gonna do that, I think that, but ultimately my hunch would be that I really would not be surprised if Scorpion ends up being like the sub villain in the
The
movie.
one and
I don't,
done.
and
The one and done.
yeah, and also because I did see there was the tweet from was Daniel RPK who said that the villain in the movie is going to be someone that no one has said yet, and so that leads me to believe that it's someone completely off the board.
Yeah.
But I'm open to everything, but I think that yes, street level I think is what they need to do, and I think they're going to because like they keep saying it, and if they keep saying it this much and it isn't street
Yes.
level, then I'm gonna be pissed. Um, I think, and I think that you know the thing about Spider-Man, why he's easier to do a street level thing with is that like he's such an emotions on his sleeve character where like the actual human death toll in the balance doesn't need to be that high for it to feel super high stakes because he will
Yeah.
show it, right? Like the thing about like someone like Tony Stark is like, yeah, he might be really upset if he sees a city destroyed or whatever, but like you don't think that he's worried about every individual person as much. You know what I mean? I mean,
Yeah.
it's part of the reason why Superman 2025 is so magical is like the most devastating moment in the movie is not a widespread piece of violence. It's the guy getting shot in the head, by
Yes.
Lex. Like that, and I think that's like that is a quality that Tom Holland's Peter Parker also has, right? You don't need
Yeah.
that many people's lives in the balance in order for it to be interesting. And so I think that frees you
Yep.
up to do a street level villain. You don't need all of New York does not need to be going to blow up in order for it to be a big deal. I mean, that's the thing about Homecoming that no one talks about is like really low level threat. It's just some weapons being stolen. Like it's not great, but in the grand scheme of things, like it's not that crazy what's going on. And so I hope
Yeah.
that they do that. And I honestly, the thing about this is going to be what 3, 5. This is going to be the 9th theatrically released live action Spider-Man movie in the last in 25 years.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
So I want them to do other villain that we haven't seen before, especially because they brought back the People from No Way Home. And I also feel like I don't know. I do feel like I don't know if they do it well, they do it well. I don't know if I would go all in on Venom, given that we just had a Venom trilogy that had diminishing returns at the box office. That just worries me because I think that I also feel like the '90s aesthetic, like that, like edgy aesthetic, is not Superman. I think shows is not very much not in, and I feel like that is actually like kind of opposed to the earnestness that I feel like they're trying to push.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
there's a way to thread that needle, but I think that like on some level, I want them to take the goodwill. Like if there ever was going to be a time to take a big swing with a more obscure villain, it would be now.
Yeah.
They just had a trilogy, like this is, and
Yeah.
so I don't know. I also wouldn't mind if it's just a bunch of people teaming up. Like, I don't need it to be something crazy. But yeah, I do think, just my general take is, I think there's another shoe that's going to drop. I don't think that all the pieces are on the board, because I don't think
I
that we
agree.
have enough to see what's going to happen.
All right,
I agree.
Dalvin, give me kind of like the list of people that would interest you the most in terms of villain. I know, like, one for me, obviously that's been mentioned, is Tombstone. That's
Yeah.
that's one that's a lot of fun. I mean, speaking of Tombstone, I love the way that in Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man
Hmm.
portrayed Lonnie Lincoln and that kind of transformation.
Yeah.
Just a lot of fun.
There,
Oh,
there you
So
go.
I always pull, every time Tombstone comes up, I pull out the Tombstone Blu-ray. I did that all the time with Spider-Man.
incredible stuff, man! Incredible stuff. But yeah, Dalvin, if you have like a list of a couple of villains that on street
Yeah.
level that interest you, well, what would they be?
Yeah, so one, I love that you mentioned Tombstone. I know there's been some rumblings about Hammerhead, and he's somebody that, like, again, could be
Man,
huge, right?
if
If done
they
right.
went, see, my thing is with this, I hope that they really lean into, and it's something that you and I and Hunter talked about way
Hmm.
back after No Way Home came out.
Yeah.
I really kind of hope that they lean into the whole gang wars aspect
Same.
of
Same.
that thing,
I
and then
actually
leading into Kingpin at some point.
I actually wrote a note. I said adaptation of Spider-Man Gang War on my phone at the bottom, because I agree with you. I think that's spot on. I think that, so what I think is interesting for me. So and this ties into who I think Sadie is playing. Because
Oh
I
yeah,
think,
I would love to hear that too.
yeah, because I agree with Jake. So one of the things that Feige said a lot that James Gunn has tried to emulate in DC is, don't worry about the universe, worry about the movie, right? Get the
Mm-hmm.
movie right, right? And so I'm hopeful that because of the goodwill they have, that everybody's really excited for the new Spider-Man, et cetera, and the fact that Fantastic Four was really good. Thunderbolts, even though it didn't do amazingly at the box office, was again another really good film, right? Daredevil was good. That they do really, like, again, if you're gonna take a swing, do it now. And so I think Sadie is playing Queen Cat Lily Hollister. That's who I think she's
Oh,
playing.
interesting.
Which, if you want to talk about like a street level villain, she's it. She's it, and she has ties to Harry Osborn, right? So you can kind of still do the best friend love triangle without having MJ in it, right? So you can kind of start to build that out,
So Dalvin,
because
if you could, before you continue,
yeah,
like for some uninitiated, because I'm sure there's some uninitiated in the audience, could you give us a little backstory on?
absolutely,
Yes.
absolutely. So Lily Hollister is the mother of, like, the mother of Harry Osborn's baby. Eventually, like, that's who she eventually becomes. But in the comics, she's known as Queen Cat, right? Single, hot, which I think, you kind of need that in the MCU. You need more single women. But she's the daughter of the district attorney of New York, William Hollister. So if we're talking about prosecuting the vigilantes and this gang war that's happening, her
Right.
dad could play a role in that, right? He could be Fisk's hand chosen district attorney that's going after all the vigilantes, and then she herself is a vigilante. So in the comics, she's dating Harry Osborn, and she uncovers one of Norman Osborn's hidden rooms, and essentially injects herself with the Norman Osborn serum, and becomes like this, like, absolute batshit villain who eventually becomes Menace. She's pregnant, gives birth to Harry Osborn's baby. I don't think you need to do all of that, but I think that
Yeah,
there is
I'm
a
scrolling through. I'm scrolling through the fandom. There's a very disturbing piece of artwork of
yes,
her as like a goblin woman with pregnant.
with the baby,
Not.
with the baby.
I was scrolling down and you see pregnancy. That's odd, and then I see the. Okay, good grief. Okay.
Yes. So I
Yeah.
don't think you need to go all like that route. But I
Right.
think, again, because AC, I love your point about the gang war adaptation and connecting it to Fisk, right?
Yeah.
Because I think if Spider-Man's love interest is the daughter of the district attorney that's prosecuting the vigilantes, there's some angst right there, right? Like, that kind of builds it in. But I think that there's something to be said for the villain being a woman, right? Like, the villain being a woman. I think you want to do that. I think you also want to make it where she's big enough of a threat to warrant all these other villains working for her, right? If you're talking about carving up New York into like these gang territories, like, maybe that's what she's doing as a menace, right?
Hmm.
But you also want somebody that's going to be able to break Peter in a different way. His heart has already been broken because he chose to, go with this spell from Doctor Strange. Now imagine his love interest also has it out for him as well, and how heartbroken she would be. She's in love with Peter Parker, but trying to go after Spider-Man as Menace, and her dad's trying to prosecute him. I think there's a lot of potential there, man.
So you're saying
I really
that
do.
So you're saying that he had his heart broken and now he needs to get broken off, is what you're saying?
That's right. That's right. That's right. By Lily Hollister, baby. By
Mhm.
Lily Hollister. I think it needs to happen. I think it needs to
Oh
happen.
man.
Yeah.
It's funny to think about that, like in terms of love interest stuff. I
Yep.
think one thing that, and Jake and I are very schmaltzy cornballs when it comes to this type of thing. We love the yearning, we love the romance, we love all of that stuff. And
Mhm.
MJ is in this movie. We don't know how much, but she's gonna be in
Mhm.
it.
Mhm.
Like, I hope her face is plastered everywhere in New York City, and he has to
Mhm.
see it.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
we need the torturous version of this
Yes.
where
Yes.
he's gonna have to struggle with that aspect, and maybe they meet up at the end or something, and
Yeah.
by happenstance, and we'll see where it
Yeah.
goes from there. But I need a little yearning. That's all I'm gonna say.
So I'll add to
Yeah.
that because I love that idea. I love them taking her down. The MJ becomes an actress, but in this universe, she actually becomes a successful actress. Posters all over,
Mhm.
like all that stuff. I love that. And then I think that's where you get to like Spider-Man 5, where he's like, I gotta get her back. I'm gonna go make a deal with Mephisto. Like, and again, because if you're telling this,
Mm.
because if you're telling this storyline of this
Hmm.
brand new day, I really just don't think that. I think that what Marvel is signaling to us, and granted, Brand New Day, the comics, they're a little wonky and uneven, but there's some good in there, right? Like you meet his daughter from another universe, like all this stuff. But if you push Peter to this like desperation, where he has to seek out the devil in order to try to get his woman back for
Mhm.
Spider-Man 5, I think again breaking him off, to quote Jake in number 4 right now, and
Mhm.
then getting to the point where he makes a deal with the devil to try to get back the life that has been taken from him, that he felt he had to sacrifice. Because one of the best parts about Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness is when Wanda stares Stephen Strange down and says, oh, I do it and I'm a villain. You do it and you're celebrated. It doesn't seem fair. And with Peter, like
Hmm.
Peter's the one that had to sacrifice himself. Everybody knows who everybody else is, right? Everybody knows who Stephen Strange is. Everybody knew who Iron Man was, and
Yeah.
like, and he's the only one that had to give that up. He's the only one that had to be like, okay, well, to save my people, I guess I got to do this. And so again, like, the desperation is there, and the point that last
Yearning,
point,
baby.
the
That's
yearning,
what yearning's
the
gonna do.
yearning, and then Jake, I think the point you made too, or about Frank Castle on his shoulder telling him like, you don't get a happy ending, Red.
Yeah.
You don't get that. You don't,
Yeah.
and he's like, well, you know what? There's a chance I might. There's a chance I might, and the yearning for that.
Because I remember that after the end of No Way Home, I remember there was people saying like, and Zendaya's not going to be in these movies anymore, and I'm like, no, 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 you don't set that ending. The whole point of that is that he's tortured by it. Like, if he actually just legitimately moves on, then
Yeah.
that decision was kind of like,
That loses
because
the
then
luster.
that decision is just a like narrative expediency decision to reset him. It's like, no, 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 no.
Right.
This has to, if you're going to wipe the slate clean in universe as well, it has to affect him as a character. And honestly, the great thing about Tom Holland and Zendaya being together is that like you don't actually. Normally, I would worry like, is Zendaya gonna want to just show up for like 3 days just to do like a tiny role? I'm like, because she's fucking already there anyway. So it's like,
Yeah.
so I think that like that's what's really nice. That like I don't even need her. I don't need them to reunite in this movie. Even like I don't need that.
No,
She can just
No.
show up a couple times. He
yeah.
can be staring at her, creeping, peeping, hanging
She's
on some
dating a
window.
new man. She's dating a new man, Harry Osborn. Like you, like
Possibly.
Hey man.
again, you could, and us,
Hmm.
Jake, great point too, because the issue with the Banner arc is exactly what you said. He solved it. Like
Yeah.
Banner was designed to be like the Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde thing, right? And Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, they never solve it. They just doesn't happen.
No.
But somehow Bruce Banner figured it out. You can't resolve the angst of Spider-Man and what came at the end of No Way Home. To your point, AC,
Yeah.
you can't resolve it in one movie. You can't. You
No,
have
he's
to
he's
let it
not going to be
simmer.
okay with. He's not going to be
He
okay with that
can't
decision.
be.
What are you talking
He
about?
can't.
Like that,
He can't be. That's the
and
point of
so,
Spider-Man, is to
Yeah,
make decisions struggling.
and,
With
yeah.
and
the
like the thing too
idea
is
of
that
it.
like the thing I keep seeing come up is like, guys, her name literally isn't Mary Jane Watson, but she is the Mary Jane Watson of the universe. There's not going to be another Mary Jane. What
Right.
the fuck is wrong with you?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think what happened is people forgot that that Spider-Man: Homecoming came out 3 years after a previous Spider-Man movie. They had to make some changes. That's like, be like, why isn't Uncle Ben in these? Why isn't Aunt Mary Jane? It's like, because this was the third Spider-Man. Like, they had to. Like, I just, the way that people just don't accept that, like, these are slightly different versions of the same story. It's like,
Yes.
yeah, slightly different because and so like she is functionally the Mary Jane, and Spider-Man doesn't give up on Mary Jane. That's the whole deal. And so like he's gonna have probably a little dalliance with someone, probably Sadie Sink, in whatever character he's playing. And he's gonna be like, you know what? I miss Big Z. You know, it's like when LeBron
That's
brought
right.
Ilgauskas to Miami. I miss Big Z. And you know, it's and if whether I love the Mephisto angle, I love
That's a
but
great idea, by
the
the
thing
way.
about
Yeah.
Peter Parker is his naivete and his optimism leads to make bad decisions because he's always like, no, I can fix it. No, I can fix it. Like he's incapable of leaving it well enough alone. He's like, no, if I just do one more thing, I can fix it. If I just do one more thing, I can fix it. And unfortunately, like there's some things you can't. Sometimes you just need to accept that your girlfriend's dating Harry Osborn.
It's so interesting to think about you talk about the naivete and the parallels between him and what happened to Riri Williams and her arrogance. That's just a very fascinating how Mephisto could corrupt somebody with two different personalities as such. And that now that you mentioned that, Dalbin, that is an interesting road to go down for sure. One thing that I also wanted to bring up, and it was something that was brought up to Feige when he did that little roundtable with journalists, was the Miles Morales situation. So it was said that they can't really use him for another 2 years until after the Spider-Verse comes out, and another 2 years is Secret Wars. So I'm guessing that then they can start to kind of like weave that in. And I ultimately think that's the end game of all of this trilogy, because I do think Holland does one more, and I think he steps aside after, and they go to Miles. We need a live action Miles. I think it's time. I think it's been more than enough time, especially after the success of the animated version of the films. What would something like that, Dalby, not only what would that mean to you, and also how would you, with the idea that we already have kind of established his uncle in the universe with Donald Glover, the Prowler, how would you feel about Miles coming in, and what do you think about how that relationship with him and Peter would work if they get to do that in a potential 5th or 6th movie?
I love that you asked that, Izzy. So, Jake, you had this point about like seeing kids excited about Spider-Man. So, my daughter loves Miles Morales. He's her Spider-Man. They call him Spin on the cartoon, right? Like that's what they call him. That's to the point that I'm like, Leah, his name is Miles Morales. She's like, no, that's Spin. I'm like, okay. She does the same thing with Spider Gwen. She's like, no, it's Spider Gwen, and I'm like, no, that's not her. But so I think honestly, like as an Afro Latino brother, I'll tell you that like it's dope that they're gonna that like eventually I think we're gonna see a live action Miles Morales with his Puerto Rican mom, right? Like his African American dad, his dad being a cop in New York, and what that means for him to be a crime fighter and then tackling things differently. I think that's unique. I have loved what Marvel did for Black Panther and the reverence that they paid to Shang-Chi and the Asian culture, right? And like again, like they held off on the Mandarin, right? They didn't want it to be a caricature, right? Like they tried to I can see them doing Miles Morales right? Like where we're talking about like they're shooting it in Harlem, right? And we're seeing a bunch of Puerto Ricans. Maybe my man Vincent Don of Cold can be there and make a cameo as the Don of the Puerto Ricans, you know what I mean? But so I love that. I think what's fascinating about the arc, that because I agree with you, Holland is ready to be a kept husband.
He absolutely is.
God bless him for it.
God bless him.
1000%. I couldn't agree with him more.
He's ready, but just like Tony Stark was the guy who passed the torch to him, I very much want to see him pass the torch to a young Afro-Latino actor who's going to now take over going forward into Secret Wars. And I think seeing him be the elder statesman of Marvel, seeing Holland be that guy, that Peter Parker. I think that because he's a good actor, and he's gotten a bad rap because the stuff that he's done outside of Marvel just hasn't really done well. But I don't think it's because of him. Like I think he's done really well. In Cherry, I thought he did solid. I thought he was the best part of Uncharted, but they saddled him with Mark Wahlberg or whatever, So
what are you talking about? But I definitely was locked into that movie. I remember I was in that movie. I didn't feel that at all.
I'm really excited for that torch to be passed because I think there's so much potential there, and it just opens up something else for the kids, man. Like to be able to see themselves in Spider-Man. The whole point is anybody can be under the mask, right? Like that was the whole point of Spider-Man when it was first conceived in the comics. That's why you didn't see Peter Parker's face for a long time, right? So yeah, I'm excited, man. I think that there's a lot of potential there. And we'll see what other revisionist history Feige has the next time they ask him about it. Like, oh, I never said 2 years. I said 20 or whatever it is that he said.
I mean, I think it is smart to not introduce him if they can help it, to not introduce him until the Spider-Verse trilogy is over.
Yeah,
just because like especially with a character that's supposed to be young, the moment you introduce them, you're on a clock, and the actor's only gonna get older. And so, like, I think I don't think you're in a rush to do it because Tom Holland still has so much goodwill. This is not a character that people are running away, like, that need to move on from.
Right.
And so I think you can establish him as an elder statesman and then bring in Miles. But I think that you're absolutely right. Like, the thing I noticed is that people who are younger than me, like, Miles Morales is as important as Spider-Man as Peter Parker is. Like, I think that, like, the Spider-Verse movies are adored. Like, they are, like, absolutely adored. And he just is, like, he is more popular than, like, most other Marvel characters. Like, if you were to rank people under the age of 20, if you were to rank the most popular Marvel characters, 2 Spider-Man would be in the top 5 probably, and Miles Morales would be one of them. Like, I think that they got to do them right, and I think you're absolutely right that they're going to – I really hope they go really authentic. A thought I had – and I don't mean this is a bad thing because I think this guy is corny, but it's a bad rap. I realized when they do a Miles Morales movie – they're going to shoot it in Harlem. 100% chance, like a cousin or uncle is going to be played by Lin-Manuel Miranda. He's going to get himself in the movie. Like, there's 100%. He's gonna, like, and that's fine because, like, he's not. Like, he has a bad rap, I think. But I realized that, like, he's going to play like a store owner. Like, there's a 0% chance
he's going to be the bodega owner.
Yeah, exactly.
Also, Jake, we again. Fat Joe's gonna find himself into this movie.
Oh my god!
Fat Joe's gonna
and his Diet Cokes.
He's gonna be telling. He's gonna see Miles and say, "I told you, yesterday's price is not today's price."
Yeah, I mean, for me, like, obviously, Miles is such a big deal, and definitely looking forward to whenever they introduce him, and I think it's gonna be like a great moment for every viewer, including the kids. Like, in a couple of years, my own Miles will be kind of old enough to see something like that in live action, and I think that's very important, and that's a very cool thing. One stray point that I keep forgetting because I have mentioned Kingpin before, and you had mentioned Fisk too. Sony, Marvel, like, get the rights right so we can finally put Holland and D'Onofrio on the screen together.
Yes.
We need that. That's something important, that we cannot have another trilogy go by and that not being a part of what this Spider-Man world is. Because without Spider-Man and Kingpin together, it just kind of feels like... No, it's the Venom movies without Spider-Man in them. It's the same thing.
What they need to do is they need to get Vincent D'Onofrio in a room with Amy Pascal, sit down and just say, "When I was a boy." And then...
Yes, 1,000%.
Yeah.
I wanted to talk about briefly Destin, because of one thing that you mentioned earlier, Dalbin. You were talking about the visuals, and you were talking about kind of like the stuff from Shang-Chi. One thing that I particularly remember from that movie that was just well done and well shot was when Wen-Wu went after the people that killed his wife.
Yes.
And the way that something like that, I feel like that's something will translate very well into something that we get with allegedly this Savage Hulk that we get, and Punisher, both very violent characters. I think his kind of makeup and the way that he does things, I think, really fits into what this Spider-Man situation could be. So what do you think about him coming into this? I feel like we are in very good hands with this, and it seems like a lot of the people that he works with also are very excited for him too. This is a great opportunity for him.
Massive, bro. I mean, I love that. I love you mentioning it. And one of the first episodes that I did with you guys, we were talking about how Marvel has collected like all this talent on the acting side, right? Like just a lot of really great actors have played in the Marvel sandbox. But what Marvel has also quietly done, I think, is when you look at Ryan Coogler, right?
Yeah.
The Russos can't make a movie outside of Marvel, right? They can't make a movie outside of Marvel, but all their Marvel movies have been home runs. James Gunn had done Slither before coming over to Guardians or whatever, and just made a really good Superman movie. If you look at the folks that have taken the helm of Marvel movies, they early on relied on like veterans, Josh Whedon, Joe Johnston, right? Like all these veterans, and then now they've taken their chances and these swings on these like up and coming
Yeah.
directors. And I'm really excited for them to again get back to forget about the universe. Let's make the best movie and give the reins to the really quality directors that have already shown that they can do this. So Shang-Chi is one of the, I think, for my money, one of the better origin stories for Marvel.
I would agree.
Jake, I'm in my head. I'm hearing you say, "What? We were outside. We know that movie was good because Shang-Chi's another one that, like, before I left social media, people were like, "Oh, it wasn't really that good."
Yeah,
I'm like, "Are you out of your mind?"
I
I'm
just
like that.
I will tell you this right now. I was shocked that friend of the show, the great Michael Smith,
Yeah.
came on here and said that that movie was terrible. I was shocked. I
Ooh.
was shocked that he said that.
Revoke
Because
his FOS, FOTS. Friend of the show.
I gotta reach back out to him at some point and
Revoke
catch
it.
it. So we
he's
can
gonna
catch
he's
up.
gonna call in from a car again and yell at his
Yes,
movies are bad.
because
That's what I
that
was
last
gonna
time he came
I
on,
love
Jesus,
I love
he
Michael
was
Smith.
his passion. He was mad. He was
He
not happy.
wanted us to know. He
It is
wanted
fun
us
to
to
hear
know.
from people who are completely divorced from the online
Yeah.
conversation because they'll just say
Yeah.
shit where you're like, really? Everyone disagrees with you. Like, it's fine, but they're like, the consensus is against you, man.
Like, wow,
Yeah.
that's tough.
Well,
Yeah.
I have a friend like that. His name is Dave, who after it was right after Fantastic Four, he's like, he's like, I didn't really like Vanessa Kirby, and I said, you didn't like who in the movie?
What?
Yeah.
Wow.
I was like,
Wow.
this is why you and I need not talk for 72 hours. Like, come back to me
Man,
once
honestly,
you've recalibrated your thoughts.
3 day cooldown is smart in that situation.
Exactly.
Yes, that's
But I'm really
incredible.
excited for DDC, man, and I think that there's just going to be, I think it's just trusting him with Spider-Man, right? And so they had talked about this years ago before Marvel eventually got to the agreement with Sony, right? Where folks were really mad at Avi Arad because he had licensed it away, right? Because of the toy deals and all that jazz.
Yeah.
And I remember they quoted him as saying like they wanted to buy all the rights, like all the rights to Spider-Man, and he's argued Spider-Man is $1 billion property. And people laughed at him. They were like, "Oh, that's crazy." No, he's not. But Marvel is trusting DDC with their most valuable property. Like, and that I think goes to show you, I think the faith they have in him, the trust they have in him, I think he's gonna nail it, man. I think he's gonna absolutely crush it. And we're gonna be looking back at Spider-Man Brand New Day, very similar to how we look back to Winter Soldier, as like just a game changer for Marvel. I think this has the chance to be that.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Jake, do you have any thoughts on DDC coming in here?
No, I mean, he has a track record in the MCU, and he's been working internally with him on a bunch of shit. So, like, clearly he has a good working relationship with them. And I think
EP
that's
of
what I
Wonder Man.
want to see now, because it feels like what happened with a lot of times where they brought in smaller directors. What can happen is that they can get overrun by the machinery and make bland movies. And so, like, I think what you want is someone who has an ethereal voice, but also like knows how to navigate the world.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, then Kevin Feige's going to be directing your movie. You know what I mean? And so, like,
Right.
he clearly is able to. They trust him, and that's what I think you want in a situation like this. And clearly he's shown that he's able to direct good action, and that's the thing that if I'm gonna ding the Watch Spider-Man movies on anything, it's their like action is, I think, way too previs, and it's like it's not nearly as like fun and dynamic as the Raimi stuff. And so like I have confidence that he'll do some interesting stuff there, and I trust him with the characters because he's a really interesting filmmaker, and I'm excited that he got the reins as opposed to another. If they were to bring like a person who made like $1 $15 million movie, I'd be nervous because I'm like, oh, then Kevin Feige's gonna be directing it this time. But they brought in a guy who like has handled something at this scale before.
Yes, and I think that's very important. I look forward to what he has to say as regarding this film and his imprint and how he decides to, get that out. That's going to be really fascinating. One thing I wanted to mention because I didn't really get to talk about it when Dalbin, you earlier you were talking about Ruffalo and bringing in the Hulk and Banner and stuff like that. I feel like there is a runway that needs to be placed before Banner comes to this movie
Yeah.
because I do feel like dropping him in. Because if you remember, the last time that we saw Banner was in She-Hulk, and he brought his son into the world, and it's
Yeah.
just it's a very off kilter kind of way that we left him.
Yeah.
So I think from him coming from that version straight to this, I think is very unlikely.
Yeah.
That's why I think he might be showing up in something else beforehand. So I think hopefully that will give the character the proper runway to give him kind of at least a connective tissue to
Yeah.
why he ends up the way that he's going to end up in this movie, as opposed to just bringing him in from the cold. And I know
Yeah.
Marvel is kind of they don't want to do something like that. So
Mm-hmm.
I would suspect,
Yeah.
just gonna throw a wink, wink, nudge, nudge to folks that are watching me right now, that you
Yeah.
might see him in something before
Spot
Spider-Man:
on.
Brand New Day.
Spot
So
on. There's no way. There's no way that they're gonna be like, oh, and here is Bruce Banner, fresh off a road trip with his son, wrecking shit in New York.
with that terrible haircut.
It's a terrible damn haircut.
So yeah, that with all that being said, this movie is extremely exciting. I love that there's so much runway to promote it over the next year to do that. I think the point that Jake made about having that kind of runway and time to really get people excited about it. It's not stopping. People are talking about this movie in some type of way every day with all of
Yeah.
the photos that we've seen of the suit, the way that they've rolled it out with the little minute teasers that
Yeah.
Holland has done here and there, and the level of excitement is what you would want it to be at some point. And this is the next movie, so if you want to get this to a place where you want to, like, this is the type of thing that makes people actually like, all right, I gotta need to go see this.
Yeah.
And this is not one of those, well, I could catch it, because I saw, it's so funny, I saw it again with Thunderbolts today, and people, quotes like, "Oh God, I can't believe I didn't see this in the theater.
Yeah. Yeah.
Unbelievable! This movie is awesome."
Yeah.
I think that Spider-Man is going to be the movie where they're not going to wait. Like, this
Yeah.
is going to
I agree.
be opening weekend. It's a very tough ticket to find,
I
and
agree.
it'll have that success. So I'm excited for everything that Tom Holland and co. Have to do. If there are no final thoughts, do you guys have any final thoughts? You want to go? You're good. You're good.
Yeah.
I
I'm
do. Yeah.
excited.
I'm excited too. I have one more. I didn't get to talk about. I didn't get to touch on this when we were talking about Punisher, but
Please
Punisher,
feel free.
War Machine, get ready, because I think you're gonna see like Savage Hope kick the shit out of Punisher and him realizing he can't beat him 1-on-1, and you're gonna see him don the War Machine armor. I think
Well,
that's
we
what
see
you're
he
gonna
brought
That's
we got the van, so
That's
like
right.
he coming from
He's
he
ready.
coming from there.
He's ready.
He's ready to roll.
That's
So,
right. Punisher 218. That's all I'm gonna say. Punisher
okay,
number 218. That's all I'm gonna say. Yeah.
very very exciting, and as always, these pods have been so fun to do
Yeah.
so far this year. To kind of like look at every corner of the MCU, and we'll continue to do that on this Road to Doomsday miniseries. I want to thank our pal Dalbin for coming through. Thank you for joining us. You're not on social media these days, but I would suggest that you do have something that you would like to promote, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely. And we've been talking about doing a Badlands MCU pod crossover for a while. So
We'll get that going at some point. We'll
yeah,
figure it out.
this feels fitting. So join the Badlands crew, myself, Joe Cap, shout out to the boss, for our second live show, August 23rd at Stout NYC. Shout out to Patreon, who's one of our sponsors for the event. They're going to be doing like a mini documentary on the event. We had our first one a couple of months ago in April. 300 maniacs showed up to talk about the Jets. Come get some food, come get some drinks. If you see me, Jake, and AC, you can have a drink with us. And we'll give you a hug, give you some dap, show you some love, and come root for the Jets, who are now a fun team to root for, because we sent, like I anticipate Marvel's gonna send Banner up the wazoo. We sent Aaron Rodgers out into the nether region, and so now we don't got to deal with his ass anymore. But come on, Patreon.com/Badlands_TOJ for tickets. And I look forward to seeing everybody on the 23rd.
Wonderful stuff, man. Appreciate you for joining us. Jake, where can we find you, sir?
At the J Christie on Twitter, at J Christie on Blue Sky, and on TikTok, I'm at the J Christie, doing a new tweet every day. got almost 600 left before my promise is up. I said I'd do 1,000. I said that early on, and I'm like, well, I got to do it now.
Yeah, I mean, you're speeding towards it. You're getting there.
But that's the thing about doing it every day is time. As our great poet laureate Smashmouth said, the years start coming and they don't stop coming.
No, exactly. I couldn't have put it any better myself. You can follow me on Twitter at AnthonyCanton_3. Follow the show on all platforms at MC University Pod. Mention the Patreon at the top. Next week, the Avengers Doomsday draft, where it will be me, Jake, Dalbin, and Anthony Mays, our pal, drafting the people in the MCU we would like to see go up against Doctor Doom and Avengers Doomsday. Promise you don't want to miss that. Check that out next week. It was a great time. Looking forward for everybody to seeing that. And we have a couple of things in the hopper that we're thinking of. So we'll be with you in all types of ways. Thank you for listening, watching, and supporting. And with that being said, for Dalbin and Jay Christie, I'm Anthony Canton III. This has been Marvel Cinematic University, and we'll talk to you next time on the road to Doomsday.